Struggle to Success. Marisol, how are you?
I am doing well. It's Friday morning, so it's the end of the week, so that's exciting. It's always exciting.
I know it is. We've gotten through the hump and another week down, and
Yes.
we are excited to have you on the podcast. And we want to thank you for a beautiful tour of the mix. It was phenomenal, and I know our viewers and our listeners can't wait to see the pictures and all the work that you and your team do. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. We were very excited to have you in the building and just to be able to show you and your wife just everything that we do in a nutshell. So yeah, thank you for coming and for reaching out.
Thank you. Thank you. Marisol, you have been in education for over 26 years.
Yeah.
Um, you have a bachelor's in administration, a master's in social work.
Mhm.
How has that prepared you to be in the role that you are today, which is, I believe, an interim director at the Mix, correct?
Yeah, I'm the interim executive director at the Mix. So yeah, my background, I started off in early childhood, so working with the littles. Preschoolers were my lane. I love them. So I decided to go to school for business, thinking I would open up my own daycare at one point in time. Life happens, and that transitioned me into the Mix. And so I started working with the older students. And through that, I was able to connect with a professor that was doing equine therapy. And she got me into wanting to go back to school for social work. And so working at the Mix, I've been able to meet families and really see the need. I'm a single mother. I've been a single mother for about over 20 years. And so
Wow.
I can relate to the families. And so just being able to be prepared, to shift mindsets and thinking different perspectives that we tend to bring to the table when you go through some of the struggles that most people in our community go through. And so I feel through my education and through my own personal experience, it has been able to help me in this position that I'm currently in. I've been with the Mix for 7.5 years. So prior to me stepping into this role, I was the director of student and family engagement. So that kind of also led up to me being able to step into this role and have that foundation there and be able
And that was
to,
also at the Mix, correct?
yeah, at the Mix, yeah.
Okay.
So I was the director of student and family engagement. I started back in 2018 with the Mix, and then just
Okay.
last November 2024 is when I transitioned into the role of interim. So yeah, I feel like all of those things have just prepared me and just slowly line things up to get me into this position. Now, obviously, it's not everything as far as like I don't know it all,
Right.
but it has definitely positioned me to be in this position where I have the foundation of the organization, the culture, all of that.
Now, you mentioned being a single parent
Mhm.
and charging forward and getting greater acclimates. And I think that's just phenomenal because essentially that's these are the stories that I love to bring forth to struggle to success. Um,
Mhm.
Not so much being a single parent, but at the same time, if you are placed in that position, you don't stop, you don't give up,
Mhm.
and you not just for your children, but
Mhm.
you didn't give up for your community.
Mhm.
What is that like? Like what is that like to have that mindset for particularly young ladies, young women who are single parents? They're trying to get greater achievements in life,
Mhm.
and here you are. What would that message be to them?
Yeah, that's so funny that you asked that because I actually was speaking. I went
Oh,
to an organization with another organization that I'm affiliated with, and
okay.
we spoke to some single mothers, to some young single mothers, and just being able to let them know, like. the road doesn't get any easier, right? I think that's
Okay.
one thing you need to understand is that we don't want to sugarcoat. I never want to sugarcoat the experiences
Hmm.
and make it seem as though they're going to make it to the end, right? There's this finish line, right, that we all are
Right.
trying to make it to, and there's going to be struggles. We're going to make it to a point, right? But there's still going to be these struggles that you're going to go through. You're going to have your
Hmm.
highs, you're going to have your lows, you're
Hmm.
going to have your valleys, your mountaintops. But at the end of it, just keep pressing forward. You're going to fall. You're going to fail. You're going to, but don't stay down. Don't stay on the ground. And one thing that we like to stress is, find people that you can be accountable to and that can encourage you, even if it's just one person, right? Community is important. And as single parents, not even just single parents, but young young individuals, sometimes we tend to do things on our own and we don't want to ask for help. We think asking for help is, you know, it's
That is
it's weak, it's a
facts.
weakness, it's a form
That
of
is so
weakness.
true. That is
Yes.
so true.
And even in my 40s, I'm still kind of sometimes struggling to ask for help, right? So
Hmm.
we don't always get past it. Sometimes we do, but sometimes it's just constant reminders, and you have to have community around you in order to be able to move forward, because you need someone to remind you of where you're going. Yes, you have your past, but your past is your past, and it's building you up, and you have to take that for what it was and just
Hmm.
keep pushing forward. So yeah, I would just say, mistakes happen, failures happen, but just keep pressing forward, because there are also blessings, there are also achievements, there are also things to be proud of. And the fact that you get up in the morning, that's something to be proud of. Like,
Facts.
to be thankful for,
True.
grateful.
Very true.
Like, thank you, God, that I'm still alive this morning to try again,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And it's if it's
Reset. Reset.
yeah, yeah. And for the ones that have children, you're doing it for yourself, but then you're showing your children how to pick themselves up. They're watching you in the storms, and they're like, okay, my mom is getting back up, I know I can get back up. For the ones that don't have children, there's other people watching you. Anybody that you encounter, they're watching you. If you're at work, those people are watching you and seeing how you react and respond. And so those are the things, like, every interaction, every encounter, everything that you do matters. Yeah.
Well, let me tell you something. And when we were with you walking through the mix, you were so poised, and I literally everyone was watching you. Everyone was watching you. So I mean, again, like you're doing a phenomenal job, and
Thank you.
there was a time in my life when someone told me, until you step outside of the circle, you won't see what others see in you, and that's hard because you're so focused on charging and charging and
Hmm.
charging and charging, but other people do see you. And you
Hmm.
mentioned community. So what does community mean in the mix of that? Because I think that word is so
Yeah.
underrated in our society today.
Hmm.
It's everyone for self.
Hmm.
And community to me means that if I see your children, they're my children.
Hmm.
If you see my children, they're your children. And we take the time to say, hey, listen, keep going. Don't go where you
Hmm.
need to go. But what does that community mean to you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm not gonna go on a squirrel type moment, but I do. Community, it just means a lot. Growing up, I grew up in the Catholic faith.
Okay.
And I would go to youth groups. So I had, like, my community. I had the youth that I was with and all of that. As I became an adult, I felt like my community started to shift, and I didn't
Okay.
have as much community, right? Like, I struggled with that. Becoming a young mom, going through life, I had my family, but that's different, right? Like,
Right.
it's different, because your family is, you have challenges, right? So
Right.
community, I really longed for that, and there's times where I still long for that. And I would say that I do have a small community that I can count on, right? And I, at the mix as well, we want our families to know that this isn't just a safe space for you to bring your children. Like this isn't just a, almost like a babysitting service, right?
Right.
We're here because we really care about your children. We really care about you as a parent or a caregiver. We care about your family as a whole. We care about the community that you're living in. And we want you to know that, you know, inside these walls and outside these walls, right? Like it doesn't stop outside these walls. If we're out in the community and we see your student
Okay.
or we
Okay.
even see
Exactly.
you, we're gonna acknowledge, we're gonna,
We see you.
we
Yes.
see you, right?
Yes.
We could be outside at an event and hey, like, just laughing and we're gonna have conversation. It's not, and we're not just asking about the students that are in our program, right? You might have students that don't come to our program. We
Right.
want to know about them as well. Are you okay? Are they okay? They need help with anything? Do you need help with anything? So community for me is really being able to have people that are surrounding you to encourage you, right? To build you up, and also to correct you, right?
Hmm.
So,
Correct.
because once you build community, it's so funny because I was just telling this to someone. My therapist was talking to me, and
Hmm.
we were talking about a certain situation, and she was like, "You need to build connection before correction, right? So I
You need
can't
to
correct
build
you."
correction before connection.
No, you need to build connection, Sterling.
Connection before
Connection
correction.
before correction, right?
Okay.
If I don't have connection with Sterling, but I need to correct him on something, he's not going to receive it well from me because we don't have relationship, right?
Wow.
But if we have relationship and we're connected, and I say, hey, Sterling, like, can I talk to you about something? I seen you do this, and I don't think that was the best way to go about it. Then you're like, you know what? Thank you for telling me. Or you may say, yeah, nah, I don't believe you, whatever.
Right.
But the
Right.
reality is that we're connected. We have relationships. So you know that I'm not coming to you in a place of judgment, but I'm coming to you from a place of community, out of friendship, out of concern and care, right? Because I want to see you succeed. I want to see you press forward. And so that's how the community at the mix is with our students and our families. We want to be connected to them, and we want to be able to, correct them. You can't just go up to a student and say, hey, um, that's not okay, right?
It's
Because
the approach.
one,
Correct. Right.
the approach and your tone and all of that. But if you just sat with them and played, spoons or Uno, or you were engaged with
Hmm.
them, at the pool table or something like that, or in an activity, they see you in a different light. So then the next time when you have to correct them, they're like, you know, Miss Marisol was a little mean, but I also know Miss Marisol cares about me. I can come to her and talk to her about hard things. Um, Brene Brown also talks about daring leaders. She says in her one book that daring leaders, they to be a daring leader, you need to be able to be connected, right? And care about the people that you lead. And it's the same thing with, with our community, right? I'm not, you know, outside of being a leader, right? That's something, friends, teaching the students, your peers. We're not saying that you're leading your peers. We do want you to be a leader, not so much a follower, but you need to be able to, lead and care and connect with your friends
Okay.
and show them that you care for them. So yeah.
That's great. And it's
And
almost like
you need
it's
to stop me sometimes, Sterling, because I'll just
no,
keep
no,
going.
because this it's fine because this is what I believe again as a community, as a nurturing
Hmm.
environment for a rapidly developing uh world we're living in, especially with our teens. It's good to know and it's essential to know that we're still here for them
Yeah.
because again, like you speak about talk therapy, and
Hmm.
I have it. At one time, it's the presence that our youth feel from us. It's that
Hmm.
energy that they feel from us. It's that leadership that they feel from us. That it's not all the time. It's about talking to them. It's about
Hmm.
what they see.
Yeah.
It's about how they see you resolve conflict.
Hmm.
Because one of the major issues that I face, in my other capacity, is that the mistakes that our youth and older generation are making is because they don't have the tools to
Hmm.
resolve conflict. And that's another thing that when we were walking through the mix, and we're going to hit on these points, you showed
Hmm.
us all the the rooms and different projects and avenues of understanding and learning and collaboration that the youth can go through. And believe it or not, it's teamwork, but it's still resolving conflict because they need
Hmm.
to know how to work together. And that's
Yeah.
phenomenal. So, with that being said, what what is the mix, and why do you how long has the mix been in
Yeah.
Lancaster?
Yeah. So the Mix is a faith-based youth development center. So we've been around. We celebrated 40 years last year, so we're really excited about that.
Congrats.
The Mix was, founded by a Mennonite couple, the
Okay.
Weavers. Mr. Weaver just recently passed away, and so he has left this legacy, right? So we started off, it was just one floor, just this little building, and now we have the big building that you were able to tour through. And so we provide programs for our students in the community. And so we like to focus around 5 areas: academic enrichment, health and wellness, life skills, community engagement, and career readiness. And so we partner with other organizations, businesses in the community, to be able to bring in different programs for our students. And then we also have staff that will create activities based off of some of the students' interests in those focus areas. And so we like to say that we are more like of a exploratory youth development center because we give them a little bit of everything, right? So we
Okay.
have crochet club, we've done Korean culture and Korean drumming, we've done equine therapy. We've taken our students out to do, equine therapy with rescue horses out in Reinholds. We've done we have a music studio, so our students have created a Songs for Justice vinyl, in collaboration with Ripple Hub and Music for Everyone. So there's just a wide range of activities that we provide our students, but then also, gearing them up, getting them ready for when they're out in the real world, right? That's where the life skills, the community engagement, advocacy pieces come in. That's where the career readiness comes in, right? Like, how do you look and conversate, have a conversation with somebody? You look them in the eye, you shake their hand firmly. How do you, complete a resume or application? We go through those things. Cooking, we provide cooking classes. So there's just a wide range of things that we do. And so, yeah, so that's, we have after school program and summer camp programs. So that's our main things. But within those programs, we provide all of those other activities.
Let me
Yeah.
ask you this. So, when you first started at the mix,
Hmm.
what were the number of children, young adults that were coming, and how has that number changed to date?
Yeah.
And what I got to double side this. What's been done to facilitate those numbers?
Yeah. So when I first started, um, our numbers were pretty high. I believe we had at least 100 or so students in the building,
Okay.
maybe a little more. Now
What were
I
the
was
age
coming,
ranges?
so they were second grade, first, second grade through about 12th grade. Um,
Okay.
and mind you, I was coming from the early childhood background. So
Okay.
I was dealing with
Mhm.
like littles and preschoolers and dealing with like, 10 to a group, and now
Mhm.
here you are over here. You got like 20 in a group by yourself. And I'm just like, yeah, no, this is not it.
Right. Right. Right.
But
Right.
throughout the years, we typically will serve on average, like we'll start off with about 90 students, and then we'll also have a waiting list of maybe about 50. Um, but we'll start off with about 90. We average out daily about, for the school year program, about 80, 75 to 80 students a night. And then for a summer program, we serve about 85 to 90 each day. And so what we've done over the years is we've become a little more structured. Not that it wasn't structured in the beginning, it was,
Right.
but we've really have honed in and been more intentional with what we're providing and how we're providing it. Um, we also, make sure that we have the staffing to be able to provide, we like the smaller groups, right? We've tried bigger groups. It just doesn't work. It's more efficient. The students get more if they're in a smaller group setting. So typically we won't have more than 15 students in a group. I'm still first through 12th grade. Another shift was that in the beginning when I first started, we had middle and high schoolers, but they were so hard to engage. They really didn't, they wouldn't stay really.
Okay.
And that's the reality of it is, they're interested in other
But at least they
things.
had an open door.
They had an
And I
open
think
door.
that
Yeah.
that's important to say that, hey, listen, that moment there was could have saved their life.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
could have given them some tools to say, you know
Mhm.
what, I'm going to use this and go out into the
Mhm.
world. So that it's still a
Yeah.
win-win. Yeah.
Yeah. And when the mix first started, so we were originally Arbor Place. We've rebranded 2021. So we're Arbor Place, but we're doing business as the mix. So Arbor Place, when Arbor Place originally started, it was geared more towards like the teenage population, all the students. Um,
Right.
but again, kind of strayed away from that. Now we do have a good group of middle and high schoolers that are with us that have stayed.
Okay.
But again, those students were former elementary students in our program. So they know what we offer, they know the staff, you know, they know
And we talked
the
about this. So now
programming.
you're
Yeah.
seeing the return, and this
Mm-hmm.
is that seed that you and your team
Yeah.
planted, and now they're giving back, and that's just nurturing
Yeah.
everything that the goals were designed to do.
Mhm. Right.
That's great.
We have students that are junior counselors. We
Okay.
have students that are adults, young adults in college that have come back to work. So it's
Okay.
nice to see that return, right? It's nice to see that they want to be able to give back into an organization that they were a part of or still are currently a part of. So that's good. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel like you really didn't you had an impact. And another part of it is they come back because they're like, I know what I liked when I was there. I know what I didn't like, so I want to be able to give them what what
That's
I
great.
I
That's
think they
great.
want. So as adults, we think we know what the students want. And sometimes it's not what they want. So, sometimes we'll
Exactly.
sit, especially with the older ones, and say, okay, you don't want to do this program. What is it that you want to do?
Right.
And can we compromise? Can we work it out in the middle somewhere in there? So yeah.
So we have the children.
Hmm.
Let's talk about the parents, because this
Yeah.
is a totally different avenue of approach of not just participation, but continuous investing in the mix. Um,
Hmm.
the mission of the mix. What is the mission of the
Yeah.
mix, by the way? I'm sorry.
So the mission is to inspiring youth, empowering families.
Okay.
Hmm.
So we take that mission. How do you translate that to the parents?
Yeah. So with our parents, it's always difficult. It's just like a
Okay.
school, right? Trying to navigate their work schedules, getting them into the
Mhm.
building, things like that. So what we do is we offer volunteer opportunities for families. We've had events where families would come in and help set up or, volunteer for the event. We've done typically in the fall we'll do like a fall fest, we'll have Thanksgiving dinner, we do a big Christmas party.
Okay.
So there's different events throughout the year that we try to hold where parents or the families can come in and engage with their students. We've done open houses. My most favorite open house was we haven't done it in a while, but we invited families to come in with their students, and we had our staff in their typical classrooms running the typical programs that they would with the students on a day. And the students were able to walk around with their families and participate in that activity with their families. So one year we had bucket drumming so the parents could go into the classroom with their students and, participate in bucket drumming. And then we had a room that had like a STEM activity going on. I think they were making slime or something like that. So they got to participate in that activity. So they were able to walk around with their students and participate in the program that their students are receiving daily. So that was really cool. We've provided financial literacy workshops for our families.
Okay.
So we've partnered with Tenfold. We partner with different banks in the community to come in and provide those financial literacy programs. We are currently doing a Smarter Parents, Safer Kids workshop right now. And so that's teaching parents, and that's through a grant that we received through PCCD, and that is teaching parents how to have healthy communication with their students revolving
Okay.
around sexual development.
Okay.
It teaches them what are the age appropriate developmental signs
Okay.
when it comes to sexual development for children 2 through 13. And then it teaches them or gives them strategies on how to create a safety plan for their child. So we've done different types of workshops, partnered with organizations, businesses in the community to provide different workshops. And if we don't host it in-house, we always push, if organization, if the Y is hosting something and
Okay.
doing an activity or a workshop, we will put that out to our families as well. So
Okay.
we like to be in the know. It's really nice because a lot of the organizations and businesses will send us like their flyers when events are happening, and then we can
Okay.
push that out to our families. And so that's really
So
nice.
we
Yeah.
talked about the children, we
Mm-hmm.
talked about the mix, we talked about the parents. Let's talk about the partnerships because
Mm-hmm.
again, you've already mentioned partnerships. Again, you're doing all this
Mm-hmm.
footwork, leg work, running the mix, and then you have the partnerships.
Mm-hmm.
How does the partnerships play key roles, and how do you get them to participate? What is it, annually, quarterly? How does that work?
Yeah, so it works various ways. Sometimes we have people, partners that will actually reach out to us and say, hey,
Okay.
we're doing this program. We would like to offer it to your students. And then we'll just connect and see if it's something that lines up. Does it fit in the schedule? And if it doesn't fit in the schedule for this season, maybe it's for the spring season. So it's just really those types of connections when they're coming to us. And then when we are out looking, we're just really out looking and just asking different people. If we hear something, we'll just reach out to
So
them and
when you
say,
say
hey,
you're out looking, how is that? Give me that.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Give me
yeah.
that picture. Like, is it
Alex
online or
Cologne,
you're going
yeah,
out and it's in the
yeah. So
community?
Alex Cologne is our program director, and West is our program coordinator, and so we just all work together. And
Okay.
Alex is a creative. Anne is a retired teacher. I'm out in the
Okay.
community. So we all have our touch points that we're like, oh, what about this? Oh, what about that? And then we
Okay.
just start researching and talking to the people that we know in the community and say, hey, we are looking for this. If it's something STEM, so right now we're trying to implement a 3D printer curriculum. So
Okay.
right now we're I contacted Tech Central and was like, hey, we know you have a 3D printer. Which one do you
Okay.
have? I contacted Isaiah Perry. Hey, you're big on STEM. What are your, who can you connect me with? What students at Millersville can you connect me with? So it's
Right.
really that. And it goes back to the connection and the community,
Mm-hmm.
right? That relationship. So if you have those relationships in the community, you're able to reach out to them and say, hey, we're looking for this. Do you happen to know somebody that does this? Um, so those are that's pretty much it, really. You're out there looking. I mean, it's probably the same
In
with
the
you, like
trenches,
when
as
you're
they
trying,
say, in the
yeah,
trenches.
when you're trying to find people for your podcast or you have ideas, you're probably contacting people and saying, hey, like I have this
Yes.
idea, I'm thinking about
Yes.
this, do you know, can
100%.
you put me? So it's the same with us, right? It's like,
100%.
this, and then asking the students, right? So if a student wants, for example, one of our teams, a few years ago, she was really interested in art, right? But she wanted to be a
Okay.
tattoo artist. And
Okay.
so just being able to connect her with, we know tattoo artists. So let's, bring a tattoo artist in, kind of speak to the students, let them know what that looks like, what that entails, those types
Okay.
of things. So it really is about the community and connection. Where can we go? And just being aware, just listening, actively listening, and not shutting things down, right? Because you got to think
That's
outside of the
something I tell
box.
my children too. I am listening to
Yeah.
you. You hear
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
You guys hear
Repeat
me.
what I
I
said.
listen
Repeat
to
what I
you.
said.
They don't. No, no, I
Yeah.
don't. No, no.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me what I just said. No, that's not what I said,
That's not what
So
I
those types
said.
of things. But active listening, but then outside of the box thinking, right?
Okay.
When
Okay.
we talked, I had shared about the equine therapy. When
Yes.
she came to us back in 2019 and was like, hey, I have this program. She's a Millersville professor. I have this program. I heard about you because at the time we had a Millersville professor on our board as well, and so she
Okay.
was telling her about about the mix. And I was thinking maybe you could bring some students out, try it out. If we were closed-minded and we were like, no, we're just sticking with our community and we're just sticking with like the normal things that we know,
Okay.
our students would have never been able to experience working with rescue horses. They wouldn't know what a rescue horse is. They wouldn't know how to clean out a stall because they were cleaning out stalls. They wouldn't know how these rescue horses relate to them, right? Because they were really getting mental health therapy without knowing they were getting mental health therapy. So
Let
she
me pause you there
yeah.
real quick. I was going to ask you a question early on,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't want to ask it because I felt like if I ask this question, that may pit you against other agencies out there, other facilities out
Mm-hmm.
there who are doing similar work.
Mm-hmm.
But you've already hit on that. And the reality of it is that community,
Mm-hmm.
outreach, active listening, and it's personal.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what separates, and I'm sure you're going to give me much more from what I see from other places in Lancaster. So
Mm-hmm.
go ahead. I just wanted to
Yeah.
put that out there because it's phenomenal work that you're doing and your team. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, again, it's outside of the box thinking, right? We
Mm-hmm.
would have never if our executive director at the time, Kiana Bowman, she was just like, that's all, that's all horses, like that's y'all, like you know what I mean. And we took them out and they loved it, you know what I
They
mean.
loved it.
And ever since then we've partnered with them. Our students go out. At one point before COVID, she was coming into our building Wednesday evenings just to give them a brief lesson. Thursday evenings we would drive the students out to Mount Joy at the time, go to the barn. They would be out there cleaning up the stalls, learning about rescue horses, learning about how this horse was beaten, abused and things like that, but they were able to nurse it back to life and it's so much stronger. And some of our students that may have had behavioral issues, they would get out there and they would be so calm and they would enjoy it. So again, outside of the box thinking. If we would have been like, no, that's not really what we do, horses,
Right.
city kids and horses probably
Exactly.
don't mix, they would have never experienced that. And that partnership would not be where it's at today, because we decided, nope, we don't want to do it. Um, so yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, it sets us apart.
how many how many volunteer staff do you oversee at the mix?
Yeah, volunteers. Right now it's hard. We don't really have a big volunteer base at the moment. So we do have interns. We typically always have interns. We do have volunteers that we have high school volunteers that will come in because they need the hours to graduate. But then community volunteers, it's a handful for our programs. It's not that many. We've had families that would come in and volunteer.
Mhm.
So we had a family that would come in and volunteer specifically for dinner. They would serve dinner. It was the mom, the children. They would come. They would help serve dinner. They would clean up. This past school year, we had a mom and her two teenage children come in, and they stayed for the whole year. Once a week, they would come in, and the kids, they ended up loving them because they were consistent. They were here all the time. They got to know them. And then we have volunteers that don't come during program, right? Because I mean, volunteers happen at all times. We have volunteers for events. We have volunteers that will come in and clean the building and do landscaping, um, you know, uh, just a community day. So we we do have we do have a good. I don't want to say we don't have a good volunteer base. We do, but it's not as much as what we would like.
Right.
So yeah, so we're always looking for volunteers. Yeah.
How do the youth how do you build the youth's resilience in facing struggles in school, everyday life?
Mm-hmm.
Give me an example of what would that look like and how you teach them.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, you know, um, similar to how I was mentioning in the beginning with like the single parents, right? Making sure that we're constantly pushing them forward, right? Dr. Irvin Scott, phenomenal. He has a book, Leading with Heart and Soul, and he talks about the student struggles. And he's an educator, and he talks about the students' struggle. And it's important for us not to judge the student by the chapter that we walked into their lives in, right? And I thought that was so like,
I read
right?
that in the questionnaire. I think it was a
Yeah.
phenomenal
Yes.
statement. It
Yes.
is
And
powerful,
yeah,
very powerful.
yes. Yes, and he says that, he's told the his colleagues and the parents, like, don't steal the struggles away from the students, right? So as parents, sometimes we want to always hurry up and like stop our child from doing something, right? No, 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 don't do that. Don't do that. You're going to get hurt. Yes, that's good to do. As a parent, I try to do it all the time. Like, no, don't do that. You're going to get hurt, right? But the
Right.
reality is sometimes you need to let them fall and fail, because when they fall and
Mm.
fail, then they've learned how to get back up, right?
Okay.
If I'm not saying let them touch the iron, obviously, or the hot stove, but let's say I touch the hot stove. Ouch. I know not to do that again, right? So if I stay up all night, don't
Right.
study for a test, and I go into school, and now I'm tired, I'm cranky, I failed my test, or I fell
Right.
asleep in class. Now I'm in
Mhm.
trouble, and now I have a consequence. My phone gets taken away. Those types of things. Then they're learning, right? They're learning how to overcome these things. Okay, maybe I should go to bed earlier, or at least that's the hope, right? We want them to.
Mhm.
That's
Right.
the hope.
Correct.
And
Correct.
so it's the
Correct.
same at the mix, right? You have consequences. You have so we I gave you the tour. You saw the mixed store. Our students can earn mixed money for their behavior, right?
Mhm.
They also get fines mixed money, right? So if you're misbehaving, you're cussing, you're whatever you're doing that is not respectful, responsible, safe, which is the school district of Lancaster's model, and
Right.
and you're not following what the expectation is at the mix, we can fine you some money. So then that means when you go to the mix store, you might not have as much money to buy whatever is in there that you would want. Maybe there's a $50 Nike gift card that you want from in there. Now you can't
Tell us
buy it.
about, yeah, exactly. Tell us about
Yeah.
the Mixes store.
Yeah, so the mix store is really it's like an incentive. It's an incentive program, right? We want to redirect them. We want to incentivize them. So we look for, we'll go out and purchase things, but we also have an Amazon wish list. We have, we want donations for that. So it could be toiletries, it could be um chips, juice, the Takis, it could be games, it could be anything that we just put into the mix store. Our teens are responsible for the mix store, so they'll go in and price all the items. And then on mix store days, the teens are running it, except when it's their day to go in. We have a staff person running it, but then they get to go in and purchase things with their mix money that they've earned, right? So again, another way. to teach that. And just being able to talk to them, right? When things are happening in life or in the world, being able to stop it and acknowledge that there's emotions and feelings behind those things, right? Just because something happens across the country does not mean that it's not affecting our students here, right?
Right.
So being able
Right.
to
I
walk
agree.
and talk to them about it. COVID happens. I share that with you as well, right?
Yes. Hmm.
Outside our fence, resilient. I am resilient, right?
Right.
Um, we talk to our students. We still provided programming during COVID. We met with them on Zoom, and just, we had mood Mondays, we had worship Wednesdays, talk back Tuesdays. We met them where they were at. Our students had feelings, they had emotions, they had things that they were trying to navigate through. Some of their parents were essential workers. They were worried about their parents going out to work. What if they get COVID? What if they die?
Right.
And so
Correct.
being able to walk them through that and navigate their emotions, um, and talking to them about how much stronger they're going to be, right? Because,
Hmm.
you know, from this, because now they're learning, they have to learn new skills, they have to adapt. And so everything that we go through is a chance for us to either take it as like, oh my gosh, this is happening to me, or oh my gosh, this is happening to me, but how can I learn from it? Right. And so the way you react, the way you respond, it's really up to you. And how you come out on the other side is up to you. And so being able
Let me
to
ask you
take
this
that
quick
time.
question.
Hmm.
And this is not just Lancaster's community.
Hmm.
We we see this across the country and other parts of the
Hmm.
world. We're seeing this very, I want to say, significant amount of evil, and it's being
Hmm.
perpetuated through our youth.
Hmm.
How are what is the mix doing to combat that? Because again, we are a community, and
Hmm.
they see this violence,
Hmm.
and I'm gonna go out here on a limb here. We have cousins, we have nephews, aunts, uncles who have been victims of violence,
Hmm.
maybe perpetuated the violence,
Hmm.
but these youth, how do we help them process that violence and get on the other side?
Yeah. Wow. Um, it's very difficult, right?
With
Because
everything else that you're already doing,
right,
because
right.
let me say that too. With everything that the mix is already doing, how
Yeah.
do we how do we keep going
Yeah.
with that?
Well, I mean, again, it goes back to our mission, right? To inspire youth and empower families. And that is at the core.
Hmm.
You have God at the core, but then you
Okay.
have the mission, right? And the mission is
Okay.
is rooted in that.
Hmm.
Um, our very first value is honor and reflect Jesus, right? Understanding that's not everybody's faith. Everybody that walks through our door is not a Christian, is not does not believe in God, does not, they don't go to church.
And we
Eh,
talked about that lightly.
yes.
Hmm.
Yes. So everybody that comes to our door, it's not, you can come through our doors. That's fine. We
As
love
you
you
are,
as you
as
are.
you are. Yep.
One thing, again, is just the community piece, the active listening, right?
Okay.
Taking time to sit with them and say,
Hmm.
you know what, we had this STEM lesson plan today, but today we're just gonna sit and we're just gonna talk.
Okay.
You know, um, when our students are misbehaving, when they are just off the wall, just like, you know, let's sit and talk. What's happening? Um, I get the messages from the school when there's a lockdown, because I have a student in the school district. So, talking about certain things, if there was, there was a shooting that happened at the McDonald's by McCaskey, I think it was last year, talking about those things like that's close. That's, you may have known the person. Excuse me. So being able to have those conversations and let them freely talk, let them say how they're feeling, right? Because their feelings are valid. That is that is their feelings. Those are their emotions, and then being able to give them the words, right? Because sometimes um and this is why sometimes therapy is really good because you learn things throughout therapy.
Right.
But sometimes you may be calling, an emotion. Um, you could be saying that you're mad, but really you're mad because maybe you're frustrated. Well, you're frustrated maybe because of this thing. So being able to have them dig deeper, right? Don't just leave it at I'm mad, right? But having them think about it. So, we have some staff that are really good with that. And then we have some staff that are like, like this is not my lane, but being able to teach our staff, right? Being able to teach our staff how to just let them process, right? Um, and being able to ask for help. So just really having that space and letting them know that they have the space to come and share how they're feeling. And they're not going to be judged for it. They're not going to be condemned for it. They're not going to be like, oh my gosh, Miss Marisol hates me because I said this, um, but knowing that they can come, as long as you're being respectful, right? You're not, cussing at me. You're not, disrespecting, you can come in and we can have this honest conversation and just talk. And I think that is what is lacking a lot of times is that, you know, we disregard sometimes our students' emotions and their feelings because I'm the adult, you're the child, and you need
Right.
to stay in a
Correct.
child's lane, right? You
Right.
don't need to speak on adult things.
Conversation, as we would say.
Exactly.
Right.
Right. Right. And so it's no, they can speak on it, right? Because this is affecting them in some way, shape, or form.
Correct.
And that another thing I want to say is it does go back to the community and with the families, right? Because when you have relationship with the families will come to you and tell you, hey, this is happening in my home. So if my child is, quieter, or if my child is acting out, it could be because of this. Or hey, there was this that happened on my block and my child witnessed this. Or so when you have relationship with the families are going to feel comfortable coming to you, sharing those things with you, knowing that you're not going to be like, oh my god, let me call CYA on you because this is happening, right? No, it's how can I support you? Not obviously if something is happening that is involving the child and the child is being hurt, we are mandated reporters. We will
Correct.
report. The parents know that
Correct.
from the beginning, but we
Okay.
still want to support you however we can. So it's really that community, that communication, and just taking the
Okay.
time to just stop working, right?
Right.
Yes, there's an organization that needs to be ran, right? We the organization needs to run, the day-to-day needs to happen, we need to get the funding in, we need to do this, we need to do that. But taking the time to just step out of the office and be Marisol,
Right.
right? Stepping out of the office and just
Right.
laughing, sitting, making play-doh, talking to a parent. And not just parents, when we talk about community, it's not just the families, it's not just the students, it's your staff, right? Your staff is key. They are the ones that are facilitating and being
They're
hands
your
on
ears, they're your
daily,
eyes. Exactly.
right? So they're there. So if your staff is coming in with whatever, because we know we come into work with our own baggage, right? We come
Baggage.
in heavy
Correct.
and,
Correct.
it's leave it at the door. It's hard to leave it at the
Mhm.
door.
Right.
And so being able to do that. And again, we are a faith based youth development center. We are constantly developing our youth, our families, our employees, right? And we do that, right? Because we are a reflection of God, and they see that. They know again, we're not going to judge them. They can come and talk to us freely about anything. I mean, the conversations that our staff have is just is is crazy, but we have those conversations and they know that they can come, they can share, they feel safe enough to say this is what's happening at home. And we sit there and we support them. A lot of our staff are young adults, right? We have two that are young moms, and so being able to mentor them, help them, say, hey, like, go here for this, like, we'll help you complete the application. So those things, right? It's all key.
What? How far do you see your students coming from to travel to come to the mix in? What are
Yeah.
some of the demographics that make up the children in the mix?
Yeah. And I think I told you I was gonna get you these numbers and I didn't. But um so yeah, we have the majority of our students are students of color. So we have
Okay.
a lot of Hispanic children, African American children. We have a handful of Caucasian students. The majority are coming from the school district of Lancaster.
Okay.
Um, and I think I was talking about the gender, right? So like we have
Hmm.
more females than what we do
Females versus.
males. They are taking over the world. Clap it up for the females, for the women. We are taking over. I don't know if it was COVID and
Hey, listen, I'm
all
not
these girls
mad. I'm
came,
not mad.
but
I go through this with Nat all the time, and she's like, "Yeah, we're doing our thing."
yes, we
I'm
are
like,
doing
"Okay,
our thing. Even
definitely."
looking at like our upcoming programming, we were like grouping the students, and there's two classrooms where there's 12 students and only one is a boy.
At least
And
he's
I'm like,
holding on. You
oh
know
my
what?
gosh. Yes.
Wait, you tell him way to go. Sterling Brown
Yes.
struggles says way to go.
Yes.
Hold
So
his ground.
I mean, we used to have it where there was more boys than girls, but
Hmm.
whatever. But we do have a handful of students that come from other districts. So we've had
Okay.
students that come from like Conestoga Valley,
Okay.
Penn Manor,
Okay.
Township. So we do have students. As long as they can make it to us, we have them. But there is like a handful of them that come from other districts. Yeah.
So we you answered the question what the mix is doing on a larger
Mhm.
connection with the
Yeah.
community. How can local leaders, businesses, community members better support the programs offered by
Yes.
the mix?
Yeah. I would say, come and learn about us, right?
Great.
It is amazing to hear, um, well, I guess not amazing. It's more surprising to hear how many people in the county really don't know about the mix, right? But I guess it's not that surprising because there are organizations and businesses that I'm not aware of. And then when I find out about them, I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that was there. I would say come check us out. Come in for a tour. See what we do. You can donate. I know we talked about funding, I think, when we were on the tour. So a lot of our programs are, our funding comes more so from individual donors. We do apply for grants. We do, receive some grants, but those grants are never guaranteed, right? There's always a process. We could apply for a grant, let's say January. You might not hear back until maybe, you know, May. And then if it's a grant that you get the money right away, you don't get that sometimes for another few months. So we really rely on those individual donors that give frequently or recurring, each week, each month, to sustain some of those programs. We do have sponsorship giving as well. So program sponsorships, there's different levels that you could give, anywhere from 500 all the way up to 25,000 to sponsor one of our programs that we do. So yeah, volunteering, funding, just
There was one other. I think it you took us outside. I think it's
the
the
bricks, yes.
the bricks.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we have the Legacy Courtyard, which
Hmm.
has the Legacy wall, and you can purchase a brick in honor of someone. So you
Hmm.
can, purchase a brick. That's another way. We Extra Give is coming up in November, so you can donate then. Right now, we are running a campaign for our building because of the lack of funding that's coming in, right? So again, because we rely on a lot of, individual donors, and because of the way the political climate is right now with funding,
Mm-hmm.
and, donors, there's all these amazing organizations right now, right? And so donors are kind of choosing, I think I'm going to go to this organization more because it,
Right.
it, it aligns more. And so, and then not only that, but I mean, the price of things are going up. I mean, groceries
Correct.
is hot, you know? So if it's groceries or donating, people are gonna go to groceries, right? So that's just the
That
bottom
is unique
line.
that you said that because that is so true, and I think I had mentioned that I was going to speak to some
Hmm.
people in the food industry that
Hmm.
was coming up for an interview, and the, it's it's heartbreaking,
Hmm.
because it make sense. I'm going to
Right.
spend on food for my house,
Hmm.
and other things are going to have to wait. So when you have
Yeah.
entities like yourself in the mix, it's like, okay, we have all these other supplies that are needed for our children here,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
it gets a tearing moment. So yeah.
It does. And so, I mean, outside of the programs, I didn't mention this, but we do serve our students meals. So we
Mm,
cook a dinner for our students
you do.
every
Okay, yeah.
single night, a
Hmm.
full meal. So they're not just getting a hot dog. No, they're getting,
Hmm.
sometimes they're getting rice, chicken, a vegetable, a fruit, pasta. They're getting, yes, sometimes they will get hot dogs, french fries, but they're getting a whole meal every night. And sometimes our students are taking plates home for their families as well. Like they'll ask,
Wow.
can do we have extra? Can I take some home for my sibling, or can I take some home for my mom? And because they're staying until 6:30, and you think if the parents coming home at 6, I know sometimes I'm coming home at 7 and not wanting to cook. So unless I actually have my menu
Right.
laid out,
Right.
and,
Right.
and
Correct.
so those types of things, funding is really hard right now, and we don't have steady funding, steady revenue coming in. So we have a campaign out right now, Hope in Action, Helping Futures Thrive, and we just pushed it out on Tuesday. So we're asking people to give now. Like, don't wait until Extra Give. If you were thinking about waiting to Extra Give, please don't give now. Extra Give is amazing, but we don't receive those funds until like mid-January, I think it is.
Okay.
So, we need it
Yeah,
now.
and that's a good
Yeah.
point that you said that because I think our viewers and our listeners have to understand there's a turnaround time
Yeah.
because we have what we call the red tape is that when funds come in, they can't just be, in most cases, immediately distributed. They have to be, it's like a
Yeah.
process. They have to be
Yeah.
logged in, and then
Hmm.
it has to be recorded, and then
Yeah.
it has to be allocated to what is going to go to, because there's
Hmm.
that big word audit, and you have to
Yeah.
justify, or when again, like when you're doing sponsorships, you're
Hmm.
asking for donors, this one here,
Hmm.
that is time consuming, and it takes
Yeah.
a lot of effort
Yeah.
to say, okay, this is where, from the dollar to the cents, that
Yeah.
your money is going
Hmm.
to, and that's just phenomenal
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. So, people can go onto our social media, our website, they can donate on the page. Because if you donate directly to us, we get that money right away, right? And so that's helpful. The
If they wanted to, they could just
transparency.
come down
Yeah.
to the front
They can
desk and
come
give
down.
you a
Yeah.
check.
Yeah, we have,
Okay.
yep, that you can write out a check to the mix.
Mm-hmm.
You can also come. I know some people are not as technical or tech savvy
Mm-hmm.
with paying online. So if they wanted to
Mm-hmm.
do like a credit card, they can come in, we can help them process it in the building. They can pay in cash. However they want to
Mm-hmm.
donate, they can. They can also donate supplies, right? They can donate for the mix store. They can donate if they're a cook and they know how to cook, and they want to donate and cook a meal for one night at the
Okay.
mix. They can either bring
It's
it in
all
already
types of ways
prepared.
that we can get
There's
involved and
all types
be
of ways.
involved.
Right.
Great.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So again, the transparency is that we had to push this campaign out because like I mentioned, the revenue isn't coming in, money is not coming in. So
Likewise, real
therefore,
quick, not to cut you off,
hmm
the mixed store, when we were down there, you said
hmm
that they could actually come in,
yeah,
they could just give
yeah,
items from
hmm
Costco or
yeah,
whatever
yeah,
store that they wanted to bring it in
hmm
because it's needed. And I think when we
yeah,
went through there, you had shirts
hmm yeah,
for students.
yeah. We have
So it's all types
clothing,
of ways
yeah.
that we can give.
Yeah, clothing, snacks, toiletries, right? Dish soap, right? Because some students will go in and buy things that they're like, oh, I see this. I know we probably need it at home. Let me purchase it with my mixed money. And then that's money that their parent has to put out. So we like to put those things in the mixed store as well. So all those ways, right? That helps us as well, any way possible. So we are really pushing this campaign out because we were actually trying to figure out, do we not do programming for the fall and start in
Mm,
January?
okay.
Do we start now? Do we start now full programming or not, because of the funding? And so we have decided to start programming. So we will begin October 14th, but on a lower scale. So we won't be accepting 80, 90 students. We'll start off with about 50 students and a lower staff. Because of that. But again, the reality is we're a nonprofit, every dollar matters. Every volunteer matters, every donation matters. And so with that, just being able to have people, come in, spread the word. I mean, that is a way to help as well. Tell people about the mix. If you are not in a position to be able to donate or volunteer or anything like that, but you know somebody that can, or just spread the word. If you're on social media, please follow us at the Mix Lancaster. Share our posts. It doesn't take but a second just to hit share. So yeah, those are different ways to support the mix.
If there was one moment that you could, and I know it's many, so this this is being real unfair right now, but there was one moment at the
Yeah.
mix that resonates with you. What would that moment be? Or when was it and what was it?
Um, yeah.
I can see like going through the Rolodex of events here, like
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
many.
I would say I definitely would say COVID. And I think I shared that moment with you when you and Natalie came in. So during COVID, we took advantage that the district didn't know what was happening because the world just suddenly shut down. So they were just sending like packets of paperwork home and they weren't really getting online with the students. So we got
Right.
online and we still did programming with our students and we kind of met them where they were at. Some of the parents joined in at times on the Zoom, and had conversation. Typically at the end of the school year in May, we have like a big end of the year party. Sometimes we'll give them like little baggies of things to take home for the summer in case they don't come back for the summer camp program. And so for our end of the year party, what we did was we had put out a campaign and asked for different donations, whether it was board games, snacks, or just, hey, gift cards, and we'll go purchase the items. And we put together these collapsible bins of like uh, board games, family games, snacks. We had a Bible in there. And then we did a drop off. So we had almost like a caravan. Like we had like, just a bunch of cars filled with these packages. And we had told parents that we were going to be coming by. And we would call the parent right before we were getting ready to pull up so then the student could be outside and we would drive by. And we had one of our interns at the time had a bullhorn and she would call out the person's name, hey, so and so, we miss you. And we would beep the horn and then they'd get their package. And some of our students were crying, some of our parents cried. um, and then we did a movie night on Zoom. So everybody was in their PJs and they were able to eat the snacks from their packages. And we were all just watching a movie together on Zoom. And so I would say that that was memorable, along with then in the fall. Schools were up as far as they were doing virtual learning. They weren't in person yet. And again, our former executive director, Kiana Bowman, was like, we need to do something. We have this space, it's empty during the day. And we served about 60 students from first through 10th grade.
Wow.
And they came and did their virtual learning in the mix versus being at home where maybe their parents were at work and they weren't sure if they were getting on. We were able to help them navigate through their technical difficulties. And
Mm-hmm.
I talked about stepping out of your office and being who you are right in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And we did that. We were lunch helpers, we were nurses, we were IT, we were TSSs, behavior coaches, we were everything. And all of them were on all different Zooms. So navigating all of that. And I think that whole part really shifted the way that we look at partnerships, the way we look at the impact that we're making and the need, you know, at the time. So being able to adapt and not say this is what's happening. Again, we talked about the resilience, you know, this is happening to me. Okay, this is happening to me. I have no control over it. Or this is happening to me. How can I learn? How can I adapt? What can I do moving forward? And that in that instance, Kiana chose to act. Kiana chose to push us forward and say, this is what we're doing and we're going to move forward. Right. And in that, everybody's still getting Jesus, right? Because it's like,
Right.
we're scared.
Right.
It's COVID. It's still real.
Right.
But we can the mission doesn't stop because COVID is here. The mission doesn't stop because there's no funding, right? So it's the mission still moves forward. We still have a call to honor and reflect Jesus. We still have a call to inspire youth and empower families. But
Okay.
the way we do it might have to shift because
Mm-hmm.
of these other things that are coming up.
So, one of the things that we like to do on the show before we end it is we
Mm-hmm.
like to ask our guests a question,
Mm-hmm.
and then they pose a question they're actually posing a question for the next guest. All right.
Mm.
So, the
Wow.
question
On the
that
spot.
was the question that was posed, and this was we had two guests, so you get to choose which one, or you can
Okay.
answer both of them. So, the first question was, where do you find joy?
Mm. Where
Or
do I
or
find joy?
the second one was, what do you do to smile?
Wow. I think they go hand in hand, right?
Okay.
Because if I have
Okay.
joy, I'm
I like.
smiling, right? Like I'm, yeah. Um, so what do I do to find joy? So that, for me, because we touched on faith a little bit, right?
Mhm.
But for me, joy comes from God, right?
Okay.
Joy comes from I have this joy regardless of what's going on, right? My finances might be crazy. I might be about to lose my job. My
Mhm.
kids might be going like, whatever is happening, but I have this joy within me. And that joy only
That's
comes from
powerful.
God, right? And so when you have that joy, you smile,
You
right?
gave me chills when you
Um,
said that. That's so
like
powerful.
there was a moment in time where my life was just chaotic. I mean, this was years ago. And I remember I was I was in church at the time, like I was attending church. So, I was really walking with God at that time. And I remember my life was just chaotic. It was like chaotic. Like I could just cry every day, all the time. And I just remember there would be moments where I had a friend at the time who lives in Coreyville, and we would be walking, through the roads. And then I found myself, back here in the city, walking through the streets, singing and having joy. and just smiling, right? Just smiling because it's like, God, no matter what, you got it. It's in your hands, right? And so in this moment, do I have joy all the time? No. But in this moment, in this season, I'm going back to that place, right? I'm digging back deep to get to that place where it's, God, I have that joy, because everything right now might seem like it's I don't know how you're gonna make a way. But
Right.
God, like, I know you're gonna make a way. And that's the thing that makes me smile. So, you know, I, just real quick, we went to church and my daughter brought her friend with her, and it was her first time. And she asked, why do people cry? Why are people crying? And it was during worship and people were singing, and I said, people cry sometimes because maybe they, whatever they're going through, it could just be really upsetting to them, and they're just sad. I said
Right.
sometimes people cry because they're just happy, like they're just so
Yeah.
thankful and
That's a
grateful,
part of
right?
crying too. That's a part of
Right.
joy.
Right. And when I worship in church and I'm singing, I just smile, because it's just like, how can you not smile, right? You got breath in your lungs.
Right.
That's a reason to have joy in itself, right? And so it's like, there's times where I would be like, I should be crying right now. Like, I need to be crying. I need to release, right? But God's like, no, you're going to smile. Like, just smile, because that's the joy. So for
Is it?
me, it's, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that's the thing for me. So finding that, it's, you know, I don't like nature. I'm not a big nature person, but I'll take walks. Um, for me, it's reading. For me, it's journaling. So this space behind me with the lights and the things on the wall,
I
those
see
are
that.
like,
That's very
yeah.
nice.
So
Very
that's
nice.
that's like my prayer wall. I have prayers up there. So I had to create a space in my home, right? Because I can't always go out and find it, right? So I had to create a space in my home that was mine, that I could just sit and just be at peace. Um, but just joy. Yeah. It's just really thinking about, like, God, I could be dead. I could have all the things that I could have been, but I'm here. That's joy. That's joy for
Okay.
me. Like, yeah, yeah.
So,
I'll leave it
what would
there.
be the question that you would want to ask our next guest?
Listen, I don't know. Let's see. I wish I had time to think about that one.
Okay.
Let's see.
I can
I
tell
would
you what,
say,
if you don't have it with you now, we can reconvene on it.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. No, I would say, I don't know who you're bringing on, but I would say my question would be, you ask hard questions. We ask the fun questions at the mix. You need a we
No, I
ask
do
like
not.
we
I
ask
do
we
not.
we ask
I
we ask like, is a hot dog a sandwich, Apple or Android? Like, we ask those types of questions at the end of an interview. We don't. That's how you know you're getting hired, because if you get the fun questions, you made it. You passed. If you don't get the fun questions, that means
thank
that
you.
you
Thank you
might
so
not get
much.
hired. Just a little FYI tip. um I would say, if there was anyone in the world that you could collaborate with,
Hmm.
who would it be,
Wow. Okay.
and why,
That's good.
and
Okay.
what would you collaborate on?
Okay. All right. It's there.
And I
It's
hope that
there.
they react the same way that I did. Like, oh my gosh.
Marisol, thank you so much.
Thank
It's been a
you.
pleasure. It's been an honor. I can't wait to the next interview or the next show that we have together. And
Yes.
Struggle to Success is going to do everything that we can to promote the mix and stand with the mix. And we need you to stay and keep charging forward.
Yes.
Have we
Yes.
missed anything that you could think about that you would want to cover, that you want to hit on
Yeah.
before we end today's show?
Yeah. No, I think we've pretty much hit it all, but I would also add as far as like what they how they could help. Again, if you have a program, right? And or if you have something that you think would be interesting for our students to learn or do, please let us know. We're one of our focus areas is community engagement as well and advocacy. So we want to get our students out doing community service projects as well. So anything, again, like it's the donations, it's the time, it's the volunteering, but it's also programming. Is there something that you can bring in? You know, do you cook? Do you want to come teach our kids how to cook? You know, just anything. I would just, again, outside of the box. So nothing's impossible. Yeah, so that I would say that's
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah, no,
Thank you,
thank you.
Marisol. Thank you for coming on Struggle to Success podcast. We want you to have a great and healthy and safe weekend, and all of your students, all of our children. How about that? Because
Yeah.
again, we are a community. We want them to have a safe and healthy weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.
The Mix is a faith-based youth development center in Southeast Lancaster, serving youth in grades 1 to 12. For over 40 years, it's been where students are inspired, families empowered, and communities thrive. Support The Mix and shape the next 40 years.